Hey Kin 376, my name is Thad Rice.
I'm Taisha Miller.
I'm Shanika Sundar.
Danielle.
We're going to be talking about the biomechanical concepts of a football tackle. First and foremost, the most important thing with a football tackle is stability. What helps with stability is going to be your center of mass and base of support. Stability is pretty much your ability to maintain equilibrium. Equilibrium is pretty much balance. So if you don't have good stability, you won't have good balance. First thing we're going to talk about is base of support. Your base of support is pretty much the outermost circle around where your body is in contact with the ground. All right, if you have a short, small base of support, you're going to be able to lose equilibrium really quickly. I'll get you to do that in a moment. If your center of mass is high, same thing. You're going to really lose equilibrium really quickly. You won't be able to maintain that stability. All right. So like she was about to demonstrate, if I'm up high and I have a small base of support, come push me over. She can push me over pretty quickly, right? I don't have any stability. I can't make a tackle if anybody's coming in contact with me, all right? If I lower my center of mass, which is right here, pretty much the center of all your body parts put together. If I lower my center of mass and I widen my base of support, either by widening my feet or staggering my feet, or both, then it'll be a lot harder. Come try to push me now. Now she can't push me over, right? So that's the main thing with stability is going to be how wide your feet are, if they're staggered or not, and how low your center of mass is.
Friction acts between the object and the surface that it's on. So in football, that is wearing cleats so that he has friction between his feet and the ground. So typically people wear sneakers and that doesn't really have any friction on the ground, so you can easily slide your foot. But in football, you want to be able to kind of hold your position, and so that's why they wear cleats, so that the cleats can dig into the ground and they can push against it and have more friction.
Ground reaction force is an important biomechanics concept that is applied in football. Ground reaction force can be defined as an equal and opposite special vector force. So here is Status demonstrating when he pushes downward and into the ground, this creates an equal and opposite force that pushes his body up and creates a forward momentum. Another fundamental concept of biomechanics that is applied to the sport of football is the law of inertia. The law of inertia states that the body will maintain a state of rest or a constant velocity unless acted on by an external force that changes this state. Now, the way this applies to football is that in practice, coaches have players run a drill to practice tackling. The tackling dummy remains at the same constant velocity or a state of rest unless impact changes that state. Without the external force of impact, the dummy would remain at a constant velocity.
The linear momentum is the product of an object's mass and velocity. In tackle football, the lineman with the greater mass and velocity will have the greater momentum. Since our football player is the only one that's going to be moving in this case, he has a greater mass and velocity, thus the greater momentum. Following collision, the dummy and the football player will move in the direction of the football player because he has the greater momentum. We can always change momentum by changing the mass or velocity, or both, of our football player and the dummy.
All right, so those are a couple, not all, but a couple of the biomechanical concepts that have to do with the football tackle whenever we're talking about practicing tackling with a dummy. So now we're all going to put it together. We're going to go through all of my movements and talk about how all of those apply, all right? So the first thing, like we talked about in the beginning, you want to widen your base of support, drop your center of mass, and I have cleats on, as you can see, to help with friction, so I'm not sliding and slipping while I'm about to take my first step, okay? Now we're going to talk about the ground reaction force.
All right, so the ground reaction force, remember again, is going to be the special vector force. It's equal and opposite. So as you can see here, he's pushing himself off of the ground, and that's creating the equal and opposite force that pushes him up and forward, creating that momentum.
And again, as I was saying, the momentum is the product of the object's mass and velocity. Upon collision, our dummy and football player is going to move in the direction of the football player's mass and velocity since he has a greater momentum.
The law of inertia directly relates to this because you want to remember that the body's going to remain at the exact constant velocity or at rest unless it's changed by an impact. So here you can see that Thaddeus is creating an impact forward towards the tackling dummy, and the dummy changes its velocity due to him creating that impact. That is the external force that changed the state of velocity for the
All right. So now all together, we're going to go through it one time. You can see everything and how everything reacts. Thank you very much, Kin 376, for teaching us all of the biomechanical concepts. Really opens our eyes to what all goes into movements and how little things can change and little things can make you better. So thank you for watching.
Bye.